Hello, everyone.
Hello, friends. How are you? Welcome to the month that never ends, January 2025. So we're 8 weeks into January. We've still got another week to go, which is going to take us a month to get through. So who else is feeling like, and it's not just us, it's Bella just made a funny, was it a meme or something?
Yeah.
8 weeks in, or 4 weeks into January, and we've still got 6 weeks to go. It was like, okay, that's what we'll call our episode this week. So it hasn't even been a week since Trump came back in, and the world seems to be a different place already. It's got an interesting story too, which I don't know if you want to share about the school episode.
Which one?
The woke thing.
No, next time.
Right, okay. We'll never hear that story on the echo chamber because it won't be current. But wokeness is ending in America apparently, but not here in Australia. Bella had an experience the other day where she was read a manifesto of wokeness with regards to a situation in her life. But so wokeness is still alive and well here in Australia for the time being, which is
well and truly alive, even trying to dig it even deeper. It was for like neurodiverse inclusivity, but it was as woke can be.
Very scary stuff. All right, let me see if I can bring up some comments. So welcome everybody. Yeah, the week that's been, the beginning of the week was watching the inauguration and all the stuff. It feels like forever ago. It actually feels like it was months ago now, but it wasn't even a week yet. It was tomorrow last week. It's only been 6 days. And it was exciting. Watching the inauguration was exciting, but perplexing at the same time. There were a lot of sort of weird things. And it was like, at first glance, it was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this is like with Hillary and Bill and Bush and, all the ex-presidents lined up, and behind Hillary was Trump's, the Miriam Adelson or whatever her name was that gave Trump, the Jewish lady, the Israeli lady that gave Trump $100 million. This real mix of sort of like devils. The devils are there. And then we get the AI thing with Trump and meeting with Bill Gates, and we're heading into this surveillance future, and the AI, the mRNA with the cancer shit, and everyone's losing their minds. And I'm thinking, what nightmare have we entered into? So I sort of lost it for a couple of days, and I was in this like, holy fuck, we're doing the two-bird thing, 2 wings. And then I thought, hang on, snap out of it. This is the plan. This is like, fingers crossed, friends. This is, Trump puts these people up next to him to expose them, like with Fauci. He put Fauci front and center during 2020, not 2020, sorry, it was 2020 before, and saying what a great guy Fauci is. And, now even Trump, obviously, is ready to hand Fauci over to Russia, hopefully. Putin wants Fauci so he can deal with him. But, we're watching, I believe we're watching Trump put these people up in front of us, particularly people like Bill Gates. There is no fucking way that Trump could, I cannot believe that Trump would do that to the American people, to the people of the world. Yeah, no, so I think that that Trump's putting him up there for all the world to see who the devils truly are. With Hillary and Bill and everything at his inauguration, and they didn't want to be there apparently, but Trump forced them to be there. Ex-presidents don't have to be at inaugurations of the new president. Trump wasn't at Joe's inauguration in 2021, so. But the highlight of all of this is watching these January 6s be released. I've had tears. Some of the videos coming out of these guys and women being released out of these prisons they've been held in for fucking 4 years, has been quite extraordinary. And I've got a list of the good, the bad, and the ugly, and that's at the top of the good list, right? That's been amazing. I think straight under that one is Trump's speech at the World Economic Forum, where he basically just said, it's fucking end of, so the World Economic Forum, the end of wokeness, the end of, you know, all the bullshit that the World Economic Forum, the Green New Scam. And so I'm excited now. I'm back to being excited. I'm still cautious. Like I said last year, I said at the end of last year that this has been the year of the narcissist and we're heading into the year of the empath. And I said to Belle the other day, I'm not sure that we're at the empath yet. I think we're in the year of the year of schizophrenia, because, you know, we've got Trump, who's a Gemini and very mercurial, and no one knows which way he's going to go. But he's been very true to his word on so many things that we have to pay attention to that. And the fact that he went to North Carolina and California as his first presidential outing says a lot about where his values are. And, you know, giving the mayor of Los Angeles, you know, let the fucking people back into their houses, let them back in. And she's like, oh yeah, we'll get around to it. We'll get around to it. And he's like, no, let them in now. The end of bureaucracy, the end of the consultant is a very good thing to free things up, to make things move quickly again, because who wants to go into a situation where you have to wait 3 years and go through all of these different fucking processes just to get a yes or a no for a building permit or something like that? You know, so long as it's not damaging, you know, the environment, or it's not stepping on somebody else's private property or toes, then I don't know. We've got it here in Australia as well, way too much bureaucracy. So hopefully this has a trickle down effect as we move through. What's been the highlight for you this week, Miss Bella?
Just taking each day as it comes. I'm getting, how would I say, I'm getting pummeled by the intergalactic universal energy, whatever you want to call it. Whatever's going on with the solar flares, the energy, the planetary alignments, whatever. I'm just struggling to be in my physical body, let's say, with all of the energy, the upgrades, the downloads, whatever you want to call them. The energy currents that are moving through my physical body are taking all of my time. So if anyone else is feeling disoriented, energy pulling them different ways, I can literally feel the gravitational pull inside my body as the energy moves. Just now, as we started talking, I got energy moving up through my heart, up into the side, up the top of my head. And it's like, oh my God, when is this going to stop? And it's like, how the hell do I just live and have a normal life and, you know, get on my show when I've got all this energy moving through my physical body? So, you know, if you're like me, if you're energetically sensitive to all of this stuff that's going on, I'd have to say that January is the most intense month I've ever felt in my life. We are building up to something big. I don't know what it is, but it's something really big. And I know we've been saying that for a really long time, but my goodness me, it is, you know, we're on the roller coaster.
Yeah, and look, we've had discussions about this, and you know, we all feel different. We all feel the energy in different ways. I don't think there's one person on the planet that hasn't felt some sort of shifting going on. You know, even over the weekend with this, you know, the 6 planets lining up and all that sort of shit too. Whether we feel it on, whether we're focused on that and go into it and feel it, you know, this has been a time of transformation and a time of, you know, releasing the old. It just feels so phenomenally like we're in this conscious state of, you know, being in a position where we're, you know, we can let go of the past. Like we both talk about relationships that we've had in the past that have, you know, they've been red flag, that we've ignored the red flags. We've found ourselves in relationships with the narcissist or the manipulator or whatever. That's why I'm not going to ignore the red flags here. I'm prepared to see them as a different color if they're going to change, but I won't ignore red flags. But I don't think anything's ever set in stone either. But I think we're moving into a consciousness that we haven't been through before, so that we're consciously taking back our power and moving into the future as a collective. You know, this echo chamber is a conscious movement. There's no one sitting here watching this right now that isn't so aware of, you know, what's going on. I think it's the most beautiful time to be alive. Very confronting, very challenging, but also super duper powerful. So it's fucking exciting, right? Like I said, this week, all of these, it's so interesting reading these comments, especially around this sort of the AI and the cancer, the mRNA cancer shit, especially, and signing up with Bill Gates and signing up with fucking Oracle and all of this stuff. The comments in the threads under these programs that have spoken about this have all been like, fuck you, Trump. We didn't vote for this. We voted for peace. We voted for, freedom. We will not accept this. Every single Trump voter has said no. So I think this is sort of testing. It's like a test. Let's throw it out there and see what sort of feedback we get, knowing full well, I think, what sort of feedback they were going to get. And if, this AI shit, like that's got to affect the algorithms and I don't know how it all works. And I know we're living in an AI world now. The AI world is not going away, and that's fine. I often joke with Bella, I fucking hate AI, but we live in an AI world, right? Our phones are AI, computers, everything's AI. We're in a soup of AI. But it's like anything, we can use it for good or for ill. And like Stephen Greer was talking about a few weeks ago on his podcast about, the advanced technology, and that we can use this technology for good or for ill. And we're at a precipice in humanity where people are, more than at any other time in humanity, standing up and saying, fuck no, we didn't vote for this. We voted for peace. We voted for prosperity. We voted for freedom. And people are standing up. They're not sitting down anymore saying, oh yeah, whatever, or we're not ignorant anymore. So I think this is the great blessing of this time that we're in. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. And I'm glad I take the time to look at both sides of this, because we have to. Because without going through the muck, how the fuck are we going to come up on the other side and say, I didn't like that. I like this better. So yeah, I like it. I like it. Bella likes AI, don't you, Bella?
I like AI tools for within my business, not for creativity, but I like AI productivity tools. Yes, I do.
Yeah, going to be used for good. I think so. Is it Gianna? Gina. I think it's going to be used for good, Gina. And if it's not, like I was having a conversation with my good friend Mike this morning, even if it's not, even if we are still heading into this dystopian 1984 future where we're all, under the thumb of AI and it's a Hunger Games squid situation, I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, it's kind of like, because I know, and we all know, that our consciousness, our soul survives this body, this 3D matrix. There is no such thing as death. There is horror, for sure. And I think there's only horror so that we can, again, see the contrast of it and be appreciative of the not horror when it comes our way. So, but yeah, all this stuff, no, the mRNA stuff, nobody wants this. I mean, the other evil, nasty thing, and you've heard me speak about this too, is the Palestinian situation. And it's kind of like, when Trump first came out the other day and he said, I saw a picture of Gaza, like he's only ever seen one picture of Gaza, I saw a photo of Gaza and it looks like a demolition site, right? Which made, being the real estate mogul, he's like, and it's a beautiful situation there. It's beautiful weather. It's on the sea. And I was horrified. I was like, oh my God, I was like, how the fuck can you talk about it like it's a demolition site and with the potential to be, we can rebuild this from a real estate standpoint sort of thing. And I've got, the Jared Kushner sort of shit, him and his real estate family talking about how they're going to rebuild Gaza. And I'm thinking, you all go and get fucked, and I don't want to be here anymore. And then I listened to a podcast and this guy was saying, like, what Trump was actually possibly even doing was, because you can look at this rubble of Gaza And you can see nothing. You can see it's just a devastation. But what Trump, depending on which angle we look at it from, what Trump was actually doing, possibly, was pointing out the value of Gaza, the value for the Palestinians. I pray to God, and I'm not sure which way this is going to go. This is in the ugly section, yeah, that they leave Israel for last, and that this turns out well for the Palestinian people.
Trump was selected to roll this through on behalf of his masters, Heather and Louise. What's your thoughts on that? I'm curious, because we don't know.
We don't know, and like I've said, I'm quite, and Bella and I have said all the way through this whole 5 years of shit show that if we're wrong, we're prepared to admit it. And I haven't held back in my questioning of, is Trump the other wing of the same bird? And I do go both ways, but I'm not sold. I'm not convinced that he is the wing of the other bird. I'm not convinced.
Heather and Louise think that there's multiple angles to view, but ultimately Trump's part of the nationalist agenda.
Well, nationalist is one thing, globalist is another, and I don't think Trump is a globalist. And well, let's bring you on, girls, and we'll have this conversation, because we're not afraid to have the conversation. But yeah, all I can look at the moment is the good things that are going on, and the bad. We still have to keep our eyes open, right?
Yeah, I think Jane and I have been a little bit different in this journey. Obviously, I've got a young child with, high needs, so my attention has been within my family, but my whole sole focus has been actually the expansion of my own consciousness and the expansion of my own life and creating abundance for myself and my family, so that I can serve humanity and so that I can be there for my community. And so for me, it's been about my own internal expansion of consciousness, because I can't do anything about what's happening outside of me, but I can work with what's happening within me. So, I get most of my information from Jane these days. I'm not checking out any of this stuff simply because it hasn't been where my focus is. However, we're all on the planet at the same time. We're all going through this expansion. So the way that each one of us are going through it is as important as the way someone else is going through it.
Look, and whether we're looking at the geopolitical stage or not, we still need to come back to that internal. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but for Bella, her home life has been the geopolitical war that's gone on. She's had to deal with the war in her own house, sort of thing. And I use war loosely there, but it's been a battle, right? So
I haven't got any energy to focus on what's going on outside, because I'm living in. Yeah, I am living in a war zone almost. I've got this child who, has got extreme behaviors. He calls for my presence of every second of every day. At 5 years old, he's just started sleeping through the night, and that's only if he sleeps in bed with me and he can physically touch me. He's on me all day, every day, requiring for my presence. I haven't got the energy or the focus to put anything outside of my own home at the moment. And sometimes even showing up to do the echo chamber is like, oh man.
But she has to be here to press the buttons, friends. She has to be here. Hello, Kat Cameron. How are you, lovely?
Okay, so we've got Heather and Louise said, we've said this and been ignored. Use the Punch and Judy show as to what's happening. I don't actually know that show. Is that a show from the 70s or the 80s? The Punch and Judy show?
Punch and Judy is like the husband and wife. It's an old, Punch and Judy's been around forever. So explain the Punch and Judy show, if you will, but it's a husband and wife. They sort of bash each other. I'm not sure what the core of Punch and Judy is.
We don't think Trump is evil. He just had been another puppet in this multiplayer game.
Hey,
yeah, we don't know.
Look, maybe, and like we've said it all along, maybe. And I've been very vocal about it. I've been very and I'm sorry for the cat that's going to get upset and swipe the phone. But this is, I watched fucking the portrait of Dorian Gray years ago, and it affected my life tremendously. I didn't realise how much. We're shown these faces, but who knows what the fuck is happening to the picture upstairs in the attic, right? We've all got a picture in the attic. We've all got a face that we put forward. we don't live in a one-size-fits-all world. There's absolutely, but we've got to pick a lane. We've got to pick a side, right?
I picked the side of humanity. I picked the side of expansion of consciousness. I picked the side of all beings living a life of freedom, joy, and expansion. I picked the side of humanity. So whoever's on that side, we're on the same team.
You know, we're all picking a side of humanity. That's what we're doing here, right?
You know what? Some people aren't. Some people are going, fuck yeah to lockdowns, fuck yeah to globalism, fuck yeah to surveillance of every area of our lives. Speaking of surveillance of every area of our lives, I think we need to be mindful about what we believe and what we think to be fact and true. Because from everything I've read and heard about China, you know, it's total communism. It's like social credit score. You can't do this if you don't do this, yada, yada, yada. But I don't live on the ground in China. And my business, I get clients from all over the world. And I actually had a client who was a British woman, but she currently lives in Beijing. So, you know, her husband is a diplomat and he works for the British embassy. So I asked her about life in China and what, you know, Chinese people were like. And, you know, her first statement was people are not their government, which I think is beautiful. And I asked about the social credit system and the one-child policy and all of these things that I had thought to be true. And they actually scrapped the social credit system back in 2020, which I thought was interesting. They also no longer have the one-child policy because China is an aging population and it's all elderly people. But they do still have heavy surveillance, which is obviously coming everywhere if you look at all the smart cities they're trying to build. So I thought it was very interesting that there was a lot of things that I believe to be true about China that aren't actually true for someone that's living in China. So it just pays to really talk to people who are on the ground living in those countries.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you know, we get, and I've listened to, there was one in particular a couple of weeks ago, a couple of podcasts and reading through people's comments about life on the ground in China and how fabulous it is actually and how cheap it is.
And how lovely the people are, how kind.
Yeah. And, you know, it's kind of the thing of like, you know, we get a lot of people, and China are not the enemy. They have never gone on they've never gone out. They're not threatening us. You know, a lot of people jump up and down in Australia, fucking China, they're buying up. Who's selling it to them? Who is selling the land to China? Australians are. So you want to blame China for buying the shit that we put up for sale?
Our government's putting it.
Yeah, it's the government, but it's Australia, right?
But it's the government, it's not us. But yes.
But it's Australia.
Yeah, yes, of course.
Right? It's the Australian government that we supposedly, and we know, you know, we don't vote for these people. They're placed there, but they're doing deals with China. They're doing, you know, all the Belt and Road, right, and all of this shit around the world. You can complain all you like that China's buying everything up, but we're fucking selling it to them. China aren't a threat to our land. And yes, we've sold our resources to a lot of our water resources and shit to China. We sold it to them. They didn't come in here and invade us and take it over. And the gain of function stuff that went on in the Wuhan lab came from America. And it wasn't just in China, it's in Ukraine and it's in other countries around. There are countries in Europe where it's happening. It's come out of the West. Okay, a lot of the time where we force these people into being defensive, particularly with, you know, America over the years, going into, you know, the economic hitmen that go into these third world countries and trick them into giving up their country, they go in with all these great promises. We're going to come in, we're going to fix your country up for you. We see that you're poor, we're going to help you here. We're going to give you all this money to build your infrastructure so that you can have a good life here in this country. It's bullshit. Everybody knows it. It's been exposed for what it is. These poor countries can never pay back the debt, so the economic hitmen come in and say, well, we'll take your resources off you. 90% of the population never, ever see any benefit from this help from the West. It's a lie. Who's doing that? Fucking we're doing that. The West is doing that. The government is doing that. The shadow government, the globalist government, right? The hands behind the hands. The whole fucking political system needs a good clean out, and we know that. And there are indications that that's absolutely happening now in America, with all of these freezes that Trump has placed on government decision making and getting people back to work. And I can't think of her name, but the lady that was posted that photo at Gitmo, she was one of the J6 lawyers, I think, and talking about how, and we've heard Juan talk about, the expansion of Guantanamo Bay over the last, 8 years, but 4 years, 4 or 5 years under Biden, they said, we're going to close it down. Obama said, we're going to close it down. Not only has Guantanamo Bay not been closed down, but it's been expanded. And, they've got this huge courthouse where the military tribunals will take place to deal with these motherfuckers, right? Let's pray. Yes, Heather and Louise, and I get it. I fucking get it. Things can be a bit muddy, absolutely. But you know what? Fuck it. It's a game, right? We're playing a game. We've got to pick a side, take a break on the bench when we need to, have a fucking piece of orange, sit down, shut the fuck up. Take a break.
The Stargate plan involves transhumanism.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. There is this, and it's horrifying to me. Absolutely horrifying. I believe the plan is still in place, and people have called it, warp speed 2.0. I still don't know that we've heard the truth. Well, we certainly haven't heard the full story about warp speed, and whether we'd already be at the 500 million mark here if warp speed hadn't been put into place. Let's just wait and see. I'm kind of on, certainly not pause, but I'm sitting back with eyes wide open going, okay, let's watch this play out, right? It's only been 6 days since Trump got back in. And Trump, again, is not the fucking savior. He's not the Lord God above all else. He's the tip of the spear of a military operation that's been in, that we've been told, okay, maybe we're being gaslit, maybe we're being lied to, but I'm going to hold the fucking line, friends, because that's what we've been talking about for the last 5 years. I'm not going to stumble at the last moment. Well, I may stumble, but I'm not going to fall. And if it all goes to shit, it goes to fucking shit. I don't give a fuck. I'm in the fight. I'm not getting out of the fight. We're here. We're not going anywhere. There have been some, fucking amazing things. And Trump, as far as like the Ukraine, Russia sort of thing goes, I think, Trump understands that it's NATO. And by standing up at the World Economic Forum, Davos, saying that, these European countries that are only paying 2% of their GDP to NATO or not paying anything at all, and they need to raise their input to 5% to keep that. If they want NATO, they've got to pay for NATO. This is exposing NATO as well. And if these countries can't afford to put their 5% into NATO, is this the end of NATO? Is it? And we've heard that NATO's a toothless tiger, but Trump understands that the Ukraine situation isn't about Russia trying to take over Ukraine and then go into Europe and take over the fucking world. He understands this is a NATO issue at the end of the day. And, there are some people that have Trump's ear that are giving him information that's not correct. But we need to wait. We need to wait and see. And in the meantime, celebrate the things that have happened, like him telling the World Economic Forum at Davos to stick your green new scam up your ass. This is the end of fucking wokeism. Diversity, equity, inclusion is dead in America. We got people crying about it here in Australia. Oh, I'm going to die. All right, okay, fine. We've all had shit not go our way at times, right? We know this is a Baphomet agenda and good riddance to it.
And that's, like what woke is. It's the definition of woke. Like people who are all for transgender and equality and all of that, they actually consider themselves to be very awake. And we are the closed-minded, like, dimwits. I find that just extraordinary that they can't see beyond inclusion and inclusivity. And, you know, touching back on what we were talking about before, I had this meeting for diversity and inclusion, particularly around neurodiverse and autistic people and whatever, you know, for my son. And the guy that ran the meeting was like, he started the meeting with like, I'm not woke, right? I hate all that woke shit, but everything he talked about was then woke. He's like, so we need to get in with the World Economic Forum and we need to get, you know, and I was like, oh my God. You know, and then he talked about the president of the United States firing every diversity staff and how bad that was for humanity, and how Greta Thunberg is, you know, amazing. And everything he said was the definition of woke. And he's the leader for diversity in Australia. And he believes that there needs to be, you know, I've got a neurodiverse child, right? So I can sit here on the other side knowing what it's like to parent one of these kids, but he believes that there needs to be a sensory room in every single school, a sensory room in every building. There needs to be fluffy places where people can go and put on their sound, this and that and whatever. And it's like, we can't wrap people up in cotton wool. This is just taking it too far and expecting the majority of humanity to bend. Whilst I agree that there needs to be inclusivity and there needs to be potentially laws in place to support this minority of people, to bend our whole entire life for neurodiversity when it really is 2% of the population are considered neurodiverse, which, you know, in 8 billion people, that's still what?
It's a lot of people.
It's still a lot of people worldwide, but it's still a small number of people. And, you know, for those of you that know neurodiverse people, don't get your knickers in a knot. My son is diverse. He's divergent, whatever you want to call it. So, you know, I want him to be in a world where he's included, but I don't expect the whole world to stop and provide for him because he's different. He just has to learn how to fit in.
You know, and the thing is too, with this diversity stuff and the, you know, the transgender movement, this is not a natural thing. This is a forced agenda. This has been slowly introduced. It's a breakdown of the family. It's a disturbance of the mind, and they've forced it into schools. This is MK Ultra programming, right? This is not a natural phenomenon. Sure, there have been people over the centuries that people are born gay. That's fine. No one has a fucking issue with gay people. We've all had gay friends. We've all got whatever. This is, and even transgender. Knock yourself out, adults. Go and change your sex. Do whatever. This is about forcing it onto children.
And this is how deep the programming goes. You would have heard me talk before. I work with women who are trying to conceive. I do sessions with women who are already pregnant. I had a woman the other day, lovely lady from New York, 20 weeks pregnant with a son, right? And she had a session with me. The reason that she booked the session was because her and her husband were having a really huge, big fight. They usually get along really well. They were having a big fight because he wanted to do a gender reveal as a male because it's a boy, right? And she was very fiercely, staunchly protecting the right of her soon-to-be son that he may want to be a girl when he is 2 or 3. And she had a session with me to ask me to communicate with the baby and ask what I thought. And I said to her that I could not provide the session because I was not the person to give her this information, because I believe in 2 genders, male and female, and I believe that there's a gender agenda going on that she has potentially fallen victim to. And she was like, oh, right. I cannot condone that kind of insanity. That you are pregnant with a male child and you already don't want to tell people it's a son in case he wants to be fluid in gender. That is programming. That is a victim of the MK Ultra programming. No fucking doubt about it.
Yeah, this is shit that comes out of DARPA, friends. You know, and if we're going to go down that road of, do we, you know, speak to my baby before it gets here, and if it's in a male body, what if he wants to change his mind? Surely before he came into the male body, he would have figured out that he didn't want to be in a female body. I mean, if we're going to go down that road, right?
For those of you wondering, I've done more than 4,000 one-to-one sessions communicating with the unborn, and I have never, ever come across a gender fluid transgender baby. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to happen, because I don't know what programming they're going to come into, but a baby has come to me and never said, I'm coming in as a boy and I'm going to go through a transgender change. I've never had that experience. Now, I'm not discrediting people who have had that experience, but it's never been my experience. And I talk to these babies all day, every day.
Linda, the family breakdown began back in the 60s, Jane. I believe even earlier, Linda.
As the women, encouraging women to get back into the workforce. And now, as you would all be aware, back when I was a child in the 70s and the 80s, a family could very easily live on one wage, one parent working. I mean, maybe it was tight and we went without some things, but the family could have one parent at home and one parent going to work. Now, in 2025, it's next to impossible unless you've got one member in the family that's earning a very high salary. It's very difficult to be a one-income family with multiple children. Very, very difficult. We pay tax upon tax upon tax. We pay tax on the money we earn. We pay tax every time we open our wallet. We pay tax on our fuel. We pay tax on all the registration.
I had to pay tax the other day when I farted, Bella. I farted and I had to pay tax. Here I sit brokenhearted, paid 10 cents and only.
We inherit money from our parents who have done really well. We pay up to 40% inheritance tax. Like, it's just insane. Tax upon tax, income tax, all of the tax they put on top of everything. It is a crime. And you know what happened to me recently? I got to share this story because it's fucking insane. So I got a camera fine for driving my car unregistered. Okay, my bad. My car was unregistered. I own the fine. But because I was driving to get a safety certificate, I contacted the people who give the fine. I said, oh, look, I was on the way to driving to get a safety certificate. Can I get out of the fine? Whatever. So they sent me this paperwork to fill out, and it didn't have a time frame on it, on how long I had to fill out this paperwork for. And I probably forgot about it for a couple of months, in all fairness. So do you know what happened then? They just took the money out of my bank account, the whole entire fine, $1,300 directly from my bank account. Didn't even warn me, just took it. I mean, how insane is that?
It's insane.
$1,300, they just took the whole lot. They have way too much power.
Yeah, if we think we're not already living in a surveilled society, friends, we're kidding ourselves, right? And these fuckers have access to our bank accounts. So, this is the push to crypto. If they can take $1,300 out of your bank account, they can take 13 million out, right? We're working towards the end of this debt, this fiat SWIFT system, the end of the world, the banking elites, the royal bloodline families that go back to who fucking knows how far they go back. It's the end of the bankers and the wankers and this system will break down and it will change because it's illegal. This is another one of the things that Trump's done, reducing tax. Now, by reducing tax, you stop feeding the beast, right? It's pull back. It's like when your dog's fat, like these fucking bankers are fat, right? These devils at the top are fat off our tax. You notice your dog's fat, you pull back on the food, you starve the fucking beast, right? Otherwise, you're going to have a fat dog that's going to cost you a damn fortune in vet bills if you don't start pulling back the food. So,
and peoples, if it's available to you, I was telling Jane about this, that I went to like a sausage sizzle. We went to the beach and sausage sizzle, and I bought my son a fruit box and got a sausage and bread. And the lady went to put it through on the card machine, but I had cash. So I saw how much the card fee was. It was $5.59, right? And when I paid in cash, it was $5. So that means I was paying a 59-cent fee for using the FPOS facility. Imagine how much we're actually paying per day to the banking system just for paying electronically. It's insane.
These fuckers are on their last legs, friends.
Catherine, I owed land rates for 3 years and they added it to my home loan without my permission. Yeah, it's the things that they're doing are absolutely insane. I don't know if anyone else has experienced this recently, but back in the day, let's say you join a gym or whatever, and you're in a contract. Back when gym, sort of contracts come out, and you'd be in a contract and you'd be like, oh, I don't want to go anymore. They won't let you cancel it. So you just cancel your debit card or your credit card, right? Get a new one. Now, it doesn't matter if you get a new card. You get a new card, the fee still comes out. The banks have got so much power. It doesn't matter if you've got completely new numbers. It still comes out.
I just wanted to comment on this, Penny. Thank you. I just read that Trump is going to put tariffs on Colombia because there were 2 planes full of Colombians. They were repatriating from America, and Colombia refused to take them, plane loads of Colombians that came in illegally to America. So Colombia, Laurie says Colombia already changed their tune and will accept their citizens back in because Trump's threatened to put tariffs, on the Colombian government. So there's a way around everything, right? I mean, I did have a giggle the other day, though, when Trump threatened to put more tariffs onto Russia. Now, I don't know how much of a game that Putin and Trump are playing, if they're playing a game at all, of, who's got the biggest chest, who can, but Trump threatening to put more sanctions or, more tariffs onto Russia, more sanctions. Russia have become the 4th largest economy in the world under sanctions. At this point, Russia would be saying, bring on the sanctions because we are only going to get more powerful. The more you try and squash us down, you watch this bear fucking rise. And we've seen Russia rise. We've seen the BRICS nations rise. There's 55% plus of the population, of the world's population now that belong to in a BRICS nation. I'm not sure how much of this is a game, and we've been told it's the greatest movie ever made, and there are multi levels and layers to this. So, like I said, I'm happy just to sit back and watch this at the moment and try not to get too emotional about it. I do get a bit fired up, friends, and I try to keep that to myself. But once a week we get to share ourselves with you here on the Echo Chamber. But yes, I have had moments where I'm like, fuck, this isn't good. But then I realise we're only being shown what they want us to see, right? So, but we do have some, the good thing is we're ending the gender madness. There's a male and a female.
In America.
It'll trickle, it will trickle. I don't have any question, but the January 6s, it's been magnificent.
I love watching the dads get, back with their little kids. It's so cute.
I've been crying watching it. It's just like some of the stories of these people that have been locked up and the families and the way that they were treated. My God.
So they all voted for Trump.
They've all got fucking Trump hats on. They're all like, thank you, President Trump. Thank you. Thank you. Non-jabbed servicemen who were kicked out of the army will be returned and given back pay in America, which is brilliant, right? I could handle a bit of back pay for fucking sacked out of my job too.
I heard, I don't remember who I saw talking about it, but there's like all these people that lost their homes in the Palisades. Obviously it was quite a fluent and wealthy area, and there was a lot of people that had their whole crypto ledgers in fire safes in their home, so they're not able to access their property. Therefore, they're not able to access their ledger, which is in their fire safe somewhere in the rubble, right? So what's going to happen to all of those?
I wonder if their passports were okay, because they seem to have survived fire.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen. Are these people going to be allowed back in? Are they allowed to search, or is it are the government or the powers that be going to go, oh no, there was nothing there? We couldn't find a fire safe, so that they just lose all, because once you lose your ledger and once you lose access to your crypto, poof, it's gone. It's not like a bank account. That's what makes people nervous when it comes to cryptocurrency.
For sure.
And rightly so.
Yeah. But their money, these dots and tittles on a screen in the banking system, your money's not safe in the bank, friend.
I agree. They could do anything. Everyone's heard those stories where you're like, oh, there was a banking error and I woke up and there was $10 million in my bank account.
Get it out, quick, get it out.
Yeah, well, some people do, and then that catches up with them years later and they get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
$10 million banking error is going to get found out at some point.
Yeah. You can have a fucking good time in the meantime, hey friends. The release of the JFK, RFK and Martin Luther King files, which has been a good thing. A lot of people have said, what could they possibly have left in there that isn't either corrupted, redacted, or doesn't matter. If no other reason, if for no other thing, this is a symbolic move that is brilliant. Now let's release the Epstein, Diddy, and Soros files, shall we? Let's go there. The border's closed. They're removing people. That's good. Not letting any more in. They've put a freeze on everything. Green New Scam's dead. Free speech is back. Although we do hear things about, even on X, the free speech platform, where people get, this fucking anti-Semitic bullshit. I'm sorry, but I'm done with it. I don't give a fuck anymore. But yeah, so people have been getting kicked off X still for speaking out against the Jewish fathers. That shit. Diversity, equity, done. Lowering tax rates.
I mean, I've seen some weird footage of Elon Musk as well, doing some weird movements with his eyes. I mean, I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's AI. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, and Elon Musk is an anomaly.
Is he a puppet? Are these companies all owned by the globalists? Is he just a puppet like Mark Zuckerberg? I don't know.
Is he the original Musk? Is he the Baphomet? The son of the Baphomet? Is he still that person?
And how far is the cloning technology? Like, is it that good to literally clone full beings? How good is the masking system? Like, the prosthetics that they're using, how good is the technology? And I imagine it's a lot better than we know.
Yeah, I mean, the deep fake videos that come out, for all intents and purposes, you are watching that person say that thing, but it's not. I mean, we only have to look at some of these things that come up on YouTube where it's, Dr. Joe Dispenza talking about this. And it's like, then they have a little disclaimer.
This isn't Dr. Joe Dispenza.
It's his voice, but it's put through an AI thing. And it's like a conglomeration of Dr. Joe Dispenza, but it's not actually Dr. Joe Dispenza talking in a fluid motion. It's an AI
version. And there's so many of these AI YouTube channels opening up now. Have you seen? There's so many like AI in the New Age movement, like the Ascension, Humanity, whatever. There's so many channels which are, which is an AI voice talking with imaging put over the top. It's like, it's not even real.
Obviously, TikTok's been reinstated. And I did learn something last week about that I wrote it down because it was really interesting. But TikTok... Now, these are the things where Trump is actually putting the middle finger up at Israel, right? So putting that Jeffrey Sachs comment up a few weeks ago, putting that up on Truth Social, how Jeffrey Sachs called Bibi Netanyahu a deep, dark son of a bitch, things like that. The TikTok. So the TikTok ban in the US was driven by the Israelis, right, to stop anti-Semitic, anti-Israel speech. It was the Zionist Anti-Defamation League. Trump reinstated TikTok as a fuck you to Israel. It's like, no, people need to see both sides of this story, right?
So did Biden ban it and Trump?
No, so under the Biden administration, TikTok was banned in America, and apparently Trump went with that. It was 6 months ago or something they began talking about it, and originally he was for that. I don't know, I'm not sure why, but finding out that it was under this Jonathan Greenblatt, this Zionist fucking defamation league in America, that were pushing this TikTok ban so that people wouldn't see what was happening they wouldn't see the Gazan genocide. They wouldn't see what Israel were actually doing to these innocent. They wouldn't see Israel invading into Lebanon and all of this stuff. Trump said, no, I want people to see the truth of what's going on. People posting up stuff about North Carolina, the fires in California. So
it's snowing in Florida, for goodness sake.
I know.
I mean, come on, it's insane.
Are any of you guys in Florida? Or is this like the first time ever that you've seen? It'd be like seeing snow on the Gold Coast.
It'd be so weird.
I'd actually like that. We had a little hail here the other day.
There was a hailstorm the other day where the hailstorms were like this big, and this woman was driving and she had to pull her car over And the hailstorms went, she had a baby in the car. The hailstorms went through the window, smashed the window to pieces, smashed the top of the sunroof. And she had to get out of her car and like put her body over her baby in this hailstorm. And she was like covered in these massive bruises over her whole entire back. That is not normal. 46 years old, never seen hail that size. That hailstones the size of this, that is not normal.
No, and snow that you can't burn doesn't seem normal either. We've seen plenty of videos about, the snow being torched that's not burning in America. 75,000 children, friends, have been recovered, and that was the other day. So hopefully more. 75,000
from where?
Missing children in America that have come over the border. So 300,000 plus children who came over the border in the last 3.5 years in America. 300,000 plus. 75,000 of those children so far have been found and recovered by Homeland Security in America. That's a good news story, right? The Guantanamo Bay guest house, the court. Putin coming out this week saying if Trump hadn't have had the 2020 election stolen off him, this war in Ukraine would never have happened. So Trump, for the last 3 years, has said, since 2022, has been saying, if I'd been president, this never would have happened. Putin came out this week and said, if Trump hadn't had his election stolen off him in 2020, this war in Ukraine would never have happened. Trump is very well aware that this is a NATO war, friends. The bad with the AI surveillance, the ugly is the Gaza and stuff. For me, it's still the ugly, ugly, ugly. The other ugly thing this week that we heard is that Jennifer Aniston fucked Barack Obama, friends. I didn't need to know that, but that is the other ugly thing that's happened this week.
But do you reckon that's true?
Nothing would surprise me. Is Jennifer Aniston another Baphomet friend?
Is she even a girl?
Is she?
I've always questioned whether she was actually male.
Apparently not. Apparently very few of them are actually females. Beyonce with her jelly bump and, are any of these fucking women? Hollywood.
It's so weird.
Fucking hell. Hollywood. Something big going on in Africa. I'm not sure what it is, but there's all this American aircraft, military aircraft, apparently over I think it's the west coast of Africa, where there's usually nothing. I was listening to the guy. A lot of earthquakes, 10 kilometres deep happening still around the world, a lot, particularly in Africa, Ethiopia, a lot of biolabs that were funded by the Department of Defence in Africa that are being, so there's stuff going on in Africa. I don't know what's going on, but there's shit going on in Africa. Florida under snow. Putin wants Fauci. I say give him over. That'd be a fun thing to do. All right, they all on coke. I don't know what that means. That's probably about it. The ceasefire it won't hold. Apparently the Israelis have already killed a 15-year-old on a donkey, friend. So I don't think that ceasefire is going to hold up very well. And they won't let the Gazans back in anyway. So we'll wait and see. Yes, there's birds in the air. And yes, who knows what fucking colour their wings are, friends. But we've got to hold the line. And and just live your fucking life in the meantime and seek fucking joy, right? Seek these moments, because what else are we going to do, right? What else are we going to do? Congo, Rwanda, Somalia, it's a mess. And hopefully it'll all get cleaned up. I'm just trying to see if there's any other little things I may have missed. Apparently Biden was recognised as the Freemasons in, I'm not sure which state it was, but they gave Biden a reward for all his good work over the last 4 years, friends. So that was nice to see. Stu Peters had his blue tick removed off X for his anti-Semitic speech. So, there's more than one side to any coin. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And Juan, the other day talking to Nino, because Nino said, are we still going to have this near-death experience? Juan said, we are. We haven't had the near-death experience yet, friends. So 2025 is certainly not over yet. January is not over yet. We've got a really interesting year ahead of us. So let's pace ourselves. Let's pace ourselves.
You're going for a mini holiday tonight. That's a good pacing.
Yes, I'm going up to a little island up north for the night, so to catch up with an old girlfriend, so that'll be nice. Yeah, so all right, and thanks for joining us. Last words to you, Miss Bella.
May you all be blessed with joy and happiness, and may you live in the present moment and do your best you can to support yourself, support your loved ones, and support humanity, and focus where you want to see us in the future.
All right, lovelies, we'll see you all next week. Thank you for joining us. Bye.